may I come in?
Please come.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir.
Please sit.
Thank you.
Manvi's psychology. Now, as a young woman from India, tell me, how does a patriarchal society impact a woman's psychology?
Sir, primarily because of the patriarchy that preserves in India, the women themselves experience something called as the inferiority complex. Despite believing that she is capable of rising, her beliefs make her act in such a manner that she is not able to fulfill her dreams. Sir, apart from that, there is also a concept of Jonah complex, wherein the women fears rising or becoming successful. So these are the two psychological impacts of a patriarchal society. So apart from that, even at the workplace, we observe glass ceiling effect, which can impact her own behavior, and she enters into a self-fulfilling prophecy, where she ultimately proves those beliefs of the people through her behaviors.
Meaning her behavior adjusts to what people believe.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Uh, Now, if I take it a bit further, the intersectionality of gender, maybe caste, maybe widowhood, multiple things intersecting. Do you think a typical Indian middle class woman is capable of handling all these issues if they all come together?
So over a period of time, these issues have already been intersecting with each other and impacting the women. And therefore, so we see that today the mental health issues are more prevalent amongst women as compared to men. So therefore, sir, there is a need to redress this intersectionality across various sectors.
Now, again, taking it one step further, would you, in this context, would you see patriarchal bargain as a psychological defense mechanism or a sociological mechanism?
Sir, I think that it is a mix of both, because as we can,
Predominantly?
sir, I think that the sociology impacts the psyche of the women more.
If a woman carves out a place of importance for herself in a patriarchal situation, isn't that a psychological defense mechanism more than anything else?
Yes, sir, it is a psychological defense mechanism because of the beliefs that the people hold with respect to a woman. It is her own belief system that gets formed as the result of the external views, sir.
My last question, but again connected to this.
Yes, sir.
Now, the in our society, the sun preference and the meta sun preference would also, I'm sure, would be creating a huge impact on a woman's psychology. How do you think an Indian woman copes with this?
Sir, again, because of the sun meta preference, she has formed her beliefs in such a manner that she is ultimately surrendering to these beliefs. So therefore, even today we see that despite irrespective of the pressures which are faced by the women, they surrender to these pressures because they are fearful that they may not be as strong as the men. But sir, this is something which needs to be changed in the long term.
So, are you saying that in the Indian context, a woman is all about surrender and nothing else?
So her psyche, because of the gender stereotypes and the gender roles that are reinforced from the childhood itself, has made her to think this way. But if we begin right from the bottom, that is the family level socialization, I think that we can improve upon this.
How far is an Indian woman independent where her reproductive rights are concerned?
Sir, as we see slowly, the reproductive rights of women have been recognized across various acts. For example, the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act
I
itself.
agree. I'm asking from the woman's perspective.
So, because I think that because these legal rights are now being provided to the women, she is becoming increasingly aware of the right of bodily autonomy. And over the years, we can see slowly that women have a greater say in their body as compared to men.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Manvi, you're a psychologist.
Yes.
Okay, see this picture for a moment. This one.
Yes.
Okay, speak on it for 1 minute.
So the rise of brain as an important determinator of the behavior has seen a rise over the past few years with the field of cognitive neuroscience. So in fact, Elon Musk has recently come up with something called as the Neuralink, wherein he's trying to insert a chip within the brain in order to read the thoughts and therefore direct the behavior of an individual. So we can see that the behavior of an individual is highly being determined by the various set of mental processes that the individual undergoes.
Okay, good. Now tell me, you just mentioned about this chip. Will it be an ethical practice to do so?
Sir, it is something which is definitely debatable because inserting a chip, first of all, is a direct invasion of privacy. Along with that, sir, there are also concerns that right now we are only able to see the external behavior, but in this, we will be able to be aware about the internal processes as well. So this is something which is definitely going to impact. But sir, the usage, as far as Elon Musk is concerned, he's talking about the use in the various set of disorders. For example, sir, paralytic patients can use it to be more independent. So if we restrict its usage to certain sectors, I think that it is going to help in the
So
long run.
don't you think a protocol and international agreement should be formulated to control the misuse of this chip?
Definitely, sir. I think that there is a need for an international protocol because, in order to ensure that the larger interest of the society is appropriately upheld, we need an international regulation for it, sir.
Olive Ridley, what does it remind you of?
Sir, I think that I have read it somewhere, but
Yes,
I couldn't
okay.
recall it.
Okay, now tell me, you studied English in 12th. Did you study a Shakespearean play?
Sir, I might have studied, but I'm not able to recall
A
it.
Shakespearean play you don't remember?
Sir, I think it was related to Julius Caesar, but I'm not able to recall right now.
Okay. What does Trojan horse remind you of?
Sir, it reminds me of the rising issues of cybercrime that we witness today in India. Especially, sir, there is a need to develop a secure cyber infrastructure because of the rising development of technology. There has been increasing penetration across internet. Therefore, sir, I think Trojan House reminds me something of this.
Okay, and do you think that our measures to combat cybercrime are adequate?
Sir, though we have taken different set of measures, there needs to be an updation of the National Cybersecurity Policy of 2013 in order to suit the interests of the present times because over the past 11 years, technology has developed to a very fast pace and we have to ensure that we are also developing our policies in accordance to that.
Okay, now how does the brain process information? Are there two streams of thought going, one which you are expressing and one which you are thinking, or are they in consonance?
Sir, I think that the brain is a very complicated organ if we talk about that because there are multiple processes which is responsible for ultimately leading to the behavior. Ultimately, sir, it is said that it is not our interpretation of reality, but it is the image which we form of the reality which is responsible for a particular response. So, sir, behavior as such is in itself a very complex process that is the result of various processes that are occurring in the brain.
How is a monkey brain different from a human brain?
So, though the exact details are something that I would have to be more sure about, but I do think that as compared to the monkeys, human beings are more developed in terms of their intellect. The possession of emotional intelligence is something which is unique to human beings, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you, Manvi.
Thank you, sir.
Manvi, I see that you have managed these mental health issues, mental awareness, and you were the content manager for it. What type of mental problems could you categorize?
So this was something that we did during the COVID times, and depending upon the different set of issues, we tried to come up with certain set of solutions to that. So, sir, for example, because of being trapped in the homes, we were cut off from the entire social support, especially the children who are at a very nascent stage of their lives, wherein they require simulation for their brain to develop in a holistic manner. So, a sense of loneliness, hopelessness, learned helplessness was something that we noticed. So secondly, we also saw that the increased penetration of social media created a sense of fear of missing out amongst the students, which led to increase in stress and lower self-esteem amongst the students. So apart from that, even amongst the senior citizens, we could have seen that usually they were able to go out on walks in their life, but that was also restricted. So they were also highly impacted because of that, sir.
So do you mean to say that mental problem is a COVID specific problem, or I think it is a widespread and rampant problem today in the country?
Yes, sir. A mental health issue is a very important problem that the country has been facing. But the recognition of mental health as an issue became more, and the awareness with respect to mental health increased, especially during the times of COVID, sir, because we were trapped at homes, and it was also realized that if an individual is more hopeful, optimistic, they were able to recover better.
But after the COVID is over, you mean to say that we have relapsed to the old stage?
No, sir. I said that during the COVID, we got to know that it is not only the external or the physical aspects of an individual, but it is the mental strength which is equally important for us to drive through any kind of physical illness as well. So, for example, we came across news wherein the people who were hopeful despite staying alone in the hospital, they were able to recover more better as compared to those who did not have any hope or optimism with respect to recovery.
Okay, and then I see that you are in the global in hunger index also you have worked. So what is the status in India? Global, where do we stand?
So the global hunger index has ranked India poorly. That is, we have been out of the 125 countries, we have been ranked 111. But sir, with respect to this, India has pointed various set of concerns with respect to the calculation which is used for this index. That relies more on the opinion of the public rather than the facts. So, for example, India has been running the largest food security program, that is the PDS system, and this has not been recognized by this index.
But can you dispute the stunted and your wasted statistics which are available? Children, you know exactly what percentage is wasted. You know exactly what percentage is actually, you can say, ki stunted. So
Yes.
that is statistically held out. It cannot be like that. What is your opinion about it? And are you aware ki what is the percentage of children who are wasted?
Sir, as far as I know, in the National Family Health Survey, 4, we had about 21 percentage of the children who were stunted, but it improved to 19 percentage. And with respect to stunting, it improved from 36 towards 34 percentage as per the National Family Health Survey 5.
Very marginal. And despite our food grain being this thing.
Sir, I think that despite ensuring the availability of food grains, we have to increase the accessibility of food grains at home, first of all. Secondly, sir, we also need to see hunger as a multidimensional concept, wherein ensuring food will not ensure that the individual is getting it. We have to work upon the sanitation aspects of it as well. We have to work upon in lifting the women, especially maternal health is to be the major focus in order to create a virtuous cycle wherein she can take care of her children as well.
Yesterday I saw an item in the newspaper which says that now the pattern is changing. People are putting more expenditure on various things. Do you think that is going to improve your hunger index?
Sir, one of the issues that India faces is that there is excessive relevance or reliance which is placed on the rice and wheat, which are not so much full of protein. If we try to shift towards more crops, for example, sir, pulses, millets that the government has been promoting as Sri Anna, I believe that we can ultimately cope up with the issue of hunger because we will be able to ensure the issue of nutritional security, sir.
Okay, last question. Have you heard about Shreya Singhal case? What is it about?
So the Shreya single case contested the Information Technology Act, wherein Section 484 was added to the act, wherein it was wherein it was directly violating the fundamental rights, and therefore Supreme Court struck down that judgment, sir.
She was successful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, Manvi.
Good afternoon.
Can you react and speak to this statement? Women eat last and they eat the least. 1 minute.
Ma'am, the perception that the society has of women is that they are responsible for carrying out the household chores, and therefore it is their responsibility to first of all feed their children, then feed their husband, and then only they should be having the meals at the last. I think this perception is something which needs to witness a change because the government has been increasingly focusing on maternal health. If we are able to provide food to the women, we will not only ensure that we are able to have healthy children, but she can also run the families, ma'am. For example, it has been shown by the Lakpati Didi scheme, wherein the government is trying to empower the women themselves so that they become Lakpati Didi, and therefore they are able to pass on the same to their children as well, ma'am.
Okay, I take that. Now, given that we have high percentage of wasting, stunting, do you have any idea what the percentage of girls could be in this? You said 34% is the rate for stunting.
Ma'am, the exact percentage I am not aware of with respect to stunting and wasting, but I do know that the anemic women are approximately 56% in India, ma'am.
And also, this we face discrimination right from birth, right, even before birth. So, what are your thoughts on this? What will you do about this when you are a district collector?
Ma'am, I think that the government has already taken a lot of steps. What we need to increase is the visibility of these steps that has been undertaken. We need to increase the awareness amongst women themselves with respect to the various measures that the government has been taking, ma'am. For example, I read about the Anemia Mukt Bharat strategy. But ma'am, the promotion of the scheme as such is something which needs to be worked upon in order to increase the awareness amongst the women themselves. This can be done through TVs, through social media influencers, hashtags, in order to increase their knowledge about their own rights. I think that if we move towards a women-led development, that is something we can think about in the long term.
Social media, where will women in rural areas have any access to social media, hashtags, influencers, right? So, and this is a problem which is more prevalent in the rural areas. So, what would you specifically think of doing? You worked on hunger, right? Also, it's all connected, malnutrition, stunting.
Ma'am, I think that the current network of ASHA workers can be utilized because they work directly with the households. Therefore, they can increase the awareness amongst the women themselves with respect to their rights. The Anganwadi workers, the auxiliary nurse midwives can supplement them. Ma'am, apart from that, I do think that though the social media connectivity currently is low, with the digital mission, the government can ensure that there is increased availability of broadband in the village areas. And therefore, if the woman is digitally literate, she will be more aware of her rights, ma'am.
Fair enough. Also, we talked about beliefs, right? Self limiting beliefs that women have. And we've seen in a lot of surveys, especially on violence against women, they believe that it's okay for a man to hit them. A man can beat them if they don't provide proper food on the table and he doesn't like the food. They just believe that it's fine, right? You've seen those results of the survey. So, how do you respond to this?
Ma'am, I think that it is very important that instead of taking external steps of safety, it is important for the woman herself to change her perception of this, because then only she can question whatever is happening around her environment. So, ma'am, at the level of school only, we have to start with gender sensitization in order to increase awareness both amongst the male as well as the female with respect to their rights and the sense of equality amongst them. So in the long term, we would be able to address them. And for this, ma'am, we have to ensure that there is gender auditing, first of all the books that are being issued. Secondly, we have to ensure that there is a sex education based curriculum which is introduced in order to increase their awareness. And we can ultimately work towards reducing the stigma, ma'am.
Great, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Manvi. Do you know about the Agnipath scheme?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
So the Agnipath scheme was introduced in order to engage the youth of our age in order to come forward and serve the country. So in the Agnipath scheme, it was envisaged that provided a training of 6 months, the children will be basically the people of this age will basically be allowed to undergo the military-based services for 4 years. After which 25% of them will be retained and 75% of them will be left out.
Are women also part of the scheme?
Yes, sir. They are a part of the scheme.
And Agniveers, those people who serve there, if they die during operation, they are not given any compensation or there is no pension for Agniveer. Do you think this is correct?
Sir, I think that that is something which can be worked upon, especially with respect to the death of the Agniveer. There needs to be certain set of compensation which needs to be provided to the family. Sir, but when we think about pension, I think that one of the purposes of introducing the Agniveer was to reduce the burden of pension in the defense sector. So that is something which can be thought about in the long term, but currently pension would not be the right step. So.
All right. What are the structural problems in India which impact its growth? Structural problems in India.
Sir, I think that the first structural problem is the growth itself, wherein our manufacturing sector is something which needs to pick up. And for this, the government is working through the Make in India Mission Production Linked Incentive Scheme.
I could fathom which direction you are going to, but there is another aspect of it. The women do half of the job and they are not paid. Their income is not part of the GDP. Okay?
Yes.
How do you think this should be included in the economic activity of the government?
So the household work is something, monetizing that is something I feel should be done. But sir, at the same time, we have constraints with respect to that. How will we calculate the amount of work that she is doing at home? So if we are able to come up with a legislative measure to do so, definitely we can ultimately move towards monetizing care economy.
And what about social discipline that the Indians in general lack a lot? Whatever we progress at the traffic junction, you will see how the Indian mind behaves. What is the psychology and how do you want to handle this?
Sir, I think that there has been a rise in the sense of individualism amongst the people, and therefore we see a sense of apathy amongst the people with respect to any kind of action in case of any kind of incidents of violence. So recently, also in Delhi, there were reports wherein, despite a woman being beaten in front of the entire society, there were no action which was taken by the people. Therefore, it is important for the people to realize that even if an accused is involved in such a case, it is their duty to take action, because only then we can move towards ensuring pro-social behavior, sir.
Do you think if we become the third largest economy, this is going to change?
So becoming the third largest economy does not guarantee that the social discipline will improve.
Okay.
So we need to ensure that we are working at the level of school itself.
All right. Tell me the difference between walking and jogging. What is the technical difference?
Sir, I think that the speed between them differs. Sir, I'll have to read about it.
In walking, both feet can never be off the ground.
Okay, sir.
One feet has to touch the ground.
Okay, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
How do you think your interview went?
Sir, I think I could work more upon the psychological aspects with respect to women empowerment. I can come up with more creative points. And yes, sir, I could slow down a little bit while speaking as well.
True.
Sir, I have been trying that, but I think that this.
This is your first UPSC interview?
Yes, sir.
How many mocks have you given?
Sir, I think this is my 7th mock.
How much?
So 7th mock. And I've been told across them that
Calm down, actually.
When is the interview?
Sir, it's on 26th March.
Plenty of time. I calm down on the number of interviews. What's been the overall feedback?
Sir, I think that they all said the same thing, that I am speaking good, but I am speaking so fast that the other person may not be able to understand it.
Any other feedback?
So this was the major feedback, and apart from that, I can be more aware about the current situations that are happening.
That however much you are aware, that's very easily said. You can be more aware. That's a never-ending thing.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes.
So ignore all that. That's too generic. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Speed, definitely yes. I found you great. I found you very confident, very good. I found very well-reasoned answers. I found intellectual honesty in the sense of saying no that you don't know. So for a lady like you, I really won't like to advise anything very much. Uh, you have something to ask me?
Sir, how can I work on the speed, because I have been
that,
trying.
See, what impression you give that you are debating and you have a timeline.
yes,
So you have to finish within the
That-
timeline. The thoughts are so many in your mind that you have to deliver them right across to the audience.
from your first mock till today, have you slowed down a bit or no?
Sir, this is after slowing down.
Oh my God.
But I suggest it
Speak
is.
before the mirror.
She is loud and clear. You can understand her quite well.
Listen to the speeches of great statesmen. See how
no,
they use
but-
modulation and time.
But don't listen to Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee.
No, 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 बीच में भूल जाएंगे.
He's the other extreme.
Taper off.
But that's not such a huge negative. If you can slow down, good. It's not that I had any difficulty in understanding what you were saying. If you can slow down, it will help. But don't worry about, over worry about it. It's fine.
Sir, also, like, sir, because I tend to watch certain set of YouTube videos on 2x, is that also responsible for my speed?
I don't know what from a technology.
Sir,
What is
2x
that?
is like doubling the speed of the.
And why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Sir, because sir, I have a tendency to listen fast and then write down the
And
points.
speak fast.
So that is why I think that it is reflecting.
That may be a
Double the
good idea.
speed, double कर देते हैं.
Try
Time
to-
कम है, double speed कर देते हैं.
Try to listen to it at the normal speed and see what happens.
Yes, sir, I think.
But
that-
as I said, don't over worry about it. It's fine.
okay, sir.
If it works,
You know,
very
you
good.
have,
नहीं होता
you
ठीक है.
have, you have slowed down considerably and you can put across your point very successfully. So don't worry too much. If you can slow down a little bit more, it's good for you.
Otherwise,
If not, it's fine.
yeah, clarity of thought, the way you come across, and there's nothing to worry about.
But
I-
if I may say,
Please.
most of the time I thought I'm speaking to a robot. Because you were turning your face, everything, but the rest of the body is absolutely still. Once or twice you moved your hand, but otherwise it was like a robot.
Why is your hand not moving?
Sir, I have a tendency to move hands when I talk, but then
ये तो फिर वही पुरानी कहानी होगी.
I developed my
नहीं
tendency
तो
over
if you
there.
have a tendency to move hands, so why stop them?
Sir, doesn't it look informal while talking?
That is very natural.
This is so much natural, a little bit of hand movement.
Everybody is talking.
Remember, now, before anybody else says it, I'll say it. What he was trying to tell you was that your verbal communication, non-verbal, were not matching.
Yes, sir.
Non-verbal was very stiff, otherwise you are coming out in a beautiful flow.
Okay, sir.
You're a student of psychology, you know what I mean,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
correct? And if the non-verbal and the verbal don't match, it does cause a problem to the other side,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yeah. For a long time I was thinking that I'm talking to Aisha or someone. The robot.
It's so much natural, and nobody is sitting here to give you marks watching your hands.
No, it should not be too much. But
You
little
know
bit
what
of
it means,
movement.
in a formal, we also have so many formal meetings. It's not that we sit like this just because my boss is sitting there, You're getting it?
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
No, sir. I think that I can improve
Anybody?
upon speed.
That's all. I think you are
You're good.
much better now that you are. Now that the interview is over, you are much more natural. Be like that.
In fact, rather than worrying too much about the speed, जैसा हमने कहा कि अगर थोड़ी कम हो जाए, well and good, but try to match the verbal and the non-verbal.
Okay.
It'll work wonders where you're concerned.
Okay, sir.
Done?
Okay, sir.
You'll do very well.
You'll do great. No doubt there.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
Thank you.
Happy to hear the term bodily autonomy.
Yeah, I love the language she was using.
That's what we use in
Came.
UNFPA all the time, bodily. So I was happy to hear someone say bodily autonomy.
She has done a lot of gender in UNFPA. I have done a lot of gender with UNDP.
UNDP.
So,
And you're so young,
Great,
you have
huh?
just come out of
Bodily
college.
autonomy.
Absolutely
Good,
great
it was
to
very good.
be with you. And wish you all the best.
Thank you,
pleasure.
sir.
all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
All the best.
Bye.
Great. Fantastic.